Story 1. Eat bananas, popsicles, anything phallic shaped in public. I once worked with a guy who wouldn't eat Mr. Goodbar or drink Mr. Pibb because he didn't want anything that has a male-identified name in his mouth. Story 2. I once had a guy make fun of me for lifting weights because, according to him, lifting weights means I like to be around large, sweaty men, and real men don't do that because that's gay. I couldn't argue with his extraordinary logic. Story 3. I think it's so funny how insecure some guys get over the dumbest things. Wearing a pink shirt, wearing tight shorts while bicycling, hugging your dad, not watching sports. They're so afraid people will think they're gay that they not only avoid very normal things but actively criticize people who do those things. In my opinion, real men, or any adult, do what they want to do regardless of how others feel about it. I don't need anyone to tell me if the bear goes in the buckwheat. Story 4. I was at a party with a mixed crowd. Myself and some friends in our mid-20s, but there were also teenagers there. The legal drinking age where I live is 16. Some kid was standing with his friends, and they were giving him grief because he was drinking a cherry beer. Culturally, fruity beers are considered girly drinks here. One of the awful friends turns to me and asks me to confirm to his friend that real men drink normal beer. I'm a muscular, bearded, masculine-looking guy, so the person probably thought I would be on his side. I just replied, "A real man drinks whatever he likes," and lifted my beer to the guy with the cherry beer. I could actually see his eyes light up and his body energize a little bit after that. Poor kid just wanted to enjoy his drink in peace. Story 5. Go to the supermarket and wait in line at the coffee shop. I dated a cryptocurrency brother, laugh out loud. His net worth was in the 8 digits for like 5 minutes this one time, and apparently that changes people. Story 6. From a woman at work after I brought in some cakes I made. Forget her. They tasted amazing. She wouldn't even try one after I mentioned it. She had all sorts of mostly negative things to say about how men are or should be. It wasn't a surprise to hear she had been single most of her adult life. Funny how those who complain the loudest often have the least understanding. Story 7. When I was in college, I was in a student group. One of the other members was in a fraternity, which did not lend itself to the sort of thing fraternity members would like. After one meeting, he was clearly in a bad mood, and we asked what that was all about. When we found out, we were all baffled. The upcoming week was a long weekend. This guy's girlfriend's parents were going out of town, and she had invited him over to spend the weekend alone with her. However, this weekend was also when there was a college football game, and the fraternity was having a watch party. When he told his fraternity brothers that he could not go to the watch party because he was going to spend the weekend alone with his girlfriend, they accused him of being gay and not a real man. Because apparently what a real, straight, heterosexual man would prefer is spending all weekend with a bunch of other men, not spending all weekend having intimate time with his girlfriend. Story 8. Apparently, real men do not speak about anything of consequence or value. My brother was going through an awful divorce. I called him at Christmas that year to see how he was doing since it was his first Christmas alone. For calling to check on him, I was called gay, a woman, and was told that I was soft like a marshmallow peep. I was so furious that I hung up the phone. About 3 months later, I called to explain why I was so irritated. Rather than apologize, he tells me about some movie with Robert Duvall and Kevin Costner where they drive cattle and are about to get into some gunfight, so they decide they should exchange names for the first time. He cited that as the pinnacle of how real men act. Story 9. Freaking wash their ass. There's very real discourse about it. It blew, and continues to blow, my mind. They think it's gay to remove freaking fecal matter. What the heck? Story 10. Real men don't drink from straws. Really? Your masculinity is so fragile that you are undermined by a small cylindrical utensil that helps facilitate hydration? I guess that tracks since some men also refuse to drink plain water. Story 11. Reading all the comments about men not washing their behinds is so wild to me. As a Muslim South Asian, water jets are mandatory after every bathroom trip. How are there grown men that aren't washing their behinds? Story 12. Someone told me my boyfriend holding my hand was pretty gay. In fact, anytime my boyfriend shows me affection, This is labeled as unacceptably non-masculine according to this guy. Remember, boys, you're gay and a simp if you kiss a girl. Story 13. If your man isn't even 200 pounds, are you with a real man? A question asked by my bartender coworker's friend. Good thing I'm a 250-pound bouncer. Otherwise, I would have been emasculated. Story 14. Wear pink, wear earrings, wear a helmet, wear a mask during COVID, cry about death and grief, drink fruity drinks, eat salad, say I love you to anyone except their partner. Real men live very fun lives, clearly. On a serious note, I think homophobia and being perceived as gay has done more to mess up the emotional health of a majority of young men, and by extension, the relationships they have with others. It's sad. We need to get over this. It's hurting everyone in different ways. Story 15. My husband has heard that about wearing pink and or floral print things, drinking fruity mixed drinks, making baked goods for my coworkers. I've even had previous coworkers tell me it's a little suspicious that he gets me thoughtful gifts. Like, sorry your husband is not great, girl. Can't relate. Story 16. Wash their legs. Seriously, the runoff from your shampoo doesn't clean your legs, and it definitely doesn't clean your private parts. Wash thoroughly, as odor can be detected by everyone around you. Story 17. I've been called gay because I don't like watching sports. I would rather play in an actual game or do something else interactive. Just watching is boring as hell. Story 18. Real men don't eat quiche. Fine with me. More awesome food for me. I mean, what the heck? Eggs, heavy cream, whatever additions you want, broccoli, spinach, and bacon, oh my gosh. Cooked in a pie crust. At least we called that quiche at home. Story 19. Everyone's favorite commentator insinuated that it was homosexual to have sex with a woman. I know he's just trying to create content people will click on. But, damn, what Leon is doing is wrong. Or more like, the disunited taints. Yeah, no. Excrement coming out of your rear end is not a homosexual act. When is this human trafficking fool going to come out? Story 20. Laundry. Apparently, it's completely manly to understand all about machines, engines, and technology unless it's a washing machine, in which case they're stumped because it's for women or females. Story 21. Heard on Reddit from a woman whose husband would not wipe his bottom because he says he's not gay. As in, if he touches his own area with toilet paper after using the bathroom, he might catch being gay. Can you imagine the smell? Story 22. The funniest bit from comedy is Bill Burr talking about this. Look at that guy, he has an umbrella. What a fool. Literally anything but grunting is gay, I guess. Story 23. I hate to go with the obvious answer, but cry. I've never understood this. Like crying was so shameful. I'd actually be concerned if I was with a man and never saw him cry. Story 24. Flinch when slamming a hammer on their fingers, cry about knee pain when working on their knees for the entire day without protection, cry in general. And the most funny thing is that this was told to me by a woman. Story 25. Wipe their ass. Some guy posted a serious video saying real men have skid marks. However, he thought skid marks were caused by farting, which he declared men do much more than women, and sweating from working hard. He was really just telling the world that he doesn't wipe his butt well. Story 26. Real men do not cry. Men should not wear pink. It is a feminine color or even floral patterned clothing. Showing emotions, enjoying self-care like skincare and spa days, even basic hobbies like cooking, baking, and dancing. Caring about their mental health. Story 27. The only one I've encountered personally is real men don't drink fruity drinks. Apparently, anything that isn't beer or spirits causes your penis to fall off. Story 28. Real men don't cook, clean, or sew. I do all of them, but I'm only good at the first two. I say real men don't care and do what they want or need to. Story 29. Own a cat. Yet cats are chill. Read books. What the heck? Use an umbrella. Dude, this tie cost me money. I'm not ruining it in the rain. Yeah, if someone is actually that obsessed with what's gay and what's not gay, it likely means they're suppressing their inner gayness. Story 30. Here's a list of things I've seen someone claim to be gay or feminine. carrying a water bottle in a public space, belt bags, liking women, especially if the woman in question shows masculine traits like big muscles, eating, cooking, liking colors, wearing glasses, crying, hi or good morning greetings, masturbation, statistics, autism, caring for your girlfriend, using an umbrella, buying flowers or gifts for your girlfriend or wife, cunnilingus, oral sex, both giving and receiving, pelvises, debt or not paying your bills, flying in economy class, touching vaginal fluids, unprotected sex, not dying in road accidents, complimenting a man, taking a dump, wiping after taking a dump, washing your behind, playing with children, having any kind of skin contact with children, kissing a woman, enjoying movies and music, touching a surface that was previously touched by a penis, using a straw, carrying your child, defending yourself in a fight, expressing your feelings, breathing the same air as other men, having sex for any reason other than making a child, having sex with more than one woman, yelling "let's go," tomboys, seeking medical help, woman on top position, accepting gifts. Story 31. Not explicitly a real men thing, but it was implied. When I was a teenager and taking driver's education, behind the wheel, our instructor would tell us about past students while we drove around town. This one kid, we were told, never used his turn signals. Every time the instructor would tell him to signal, he'd say, "Turn signals are for fools." It kept happening enough so the instructor, while dropping the kid off at home, walked up to the door to speak to his parents. The dad opened the door, and the instructor informed the dad that his kid wouldn't use turn signals and kept saying, "Turn signals are for fools." The instructor said he was going to fail the kid if he didn't start signaling. The dad looked at the instructor and said, "That's right. Turn signals are for fools." I assumed the dad had his driver's license and probably took a test to acquire it. I can't help but think the dad may be harboring some deep secrets from his past, or else he would have failed that test. Story 32. The absolute craziest one I've heard. I'm a redhead who lives in Texas, and I had a guy tell me that real men don't wear sunscreen, while I was putting on 50 SPF sunscreen. This was told to me by a guy with leather skin who has already had a couple of odd moles taken off his body. It's truly baffling how stupid people are. Darwinism is real. Story 33. Prostate play orgasm. Best feeling known to mankind, even better than women's orgasms purportedly. But studies are being done at the moment due to it being so gatekept. Men literally have their pleasure spot up their backside, yet deny it. So silly. In 2035 and beyond, it'll be mainstream for the younger crowds. Story 34. Buy female hygiene products for their wives and daughters. I thought he was joking, but he was serious. He is responsible for doing the grocery shopping for the family, but he will not pick up these products. His wife and daughter have to buy them themselves. They don't have to pay for them. They can use the family money. It's just the act of buying. Story 35. The reasons I, a gay man who is openly gay but passes as straight at first glance, have been told make me not a real man, like a woman, and unlikely to find a good wife. I like to bake sweet treats. I enjoy watching the Eurovision Song Contest. I wore a shirt with my suit that wasn't blue, white, or gray. It was actually red with a white pattern. I use public transport everywhere. I usually ignore people, laugh in their face, and once replied with, "Better tell my boyfriend he is in a straight relationship then." Story 36. It took a while reading these to think of one. So I have a tattoo that is from a cartoon, and the artist did his thing where he draws it up in a pose, and I approve that and the colors and stuff. We get to the end, and he's adding the little flair and goes, "Hey, did you want me to color this in with the bubblegum pink like we have here? Or do you want to do red or something?" I was like, "Nah, the pink is fine. What's up?" "Oh, you know some guys get kind of weird about pink on their ink and all that." So I'm like, "Oh yeah, well, the character is a gay demon, so I don't really think that's applicable here. By the way, nothing about the tattoo looks gay. You only know that if you watch the show." Story 37. According to a friend of mine, These are her turnoffs when it comes to men, and they shouldn't do. Wearing shorts except at the beach. Wearing flip-flops in any circumstance. Using an umbrella unless it's to cover his girlfriend or wife. Wearing a backpack. Wearing a cap or hat if they don't have a full head of hair. Smiling in pictures. Paying with cash. Story 38. Personally, I just hate when women become these weak, fragile creatures when it comes to moving day and suddenly say, real men don't let women carry heavy stuff. Story 39. I didn't think people like this actually existed, but I saw this middle-aged guy go to the bathroom several times and never wash his hands because, I don't know about you, but my penis is clean. What? Story 40. One time on night shift, one of the guys called over the radio to see if anybody had anything for him to eat. I said I have a can of soup if he wants it. Real men don't eat soup. Story 41. Eat vegetables. Okay. Use hearing protection on a very noisy worksite. Tell someone you love them. How else do you convey affection to your wife and kids? Fight someone because they asked your then fiancé out. Like, dude, she's hot, you weren't to know. Don't blame you for trying. Better luck next time. Some really messed up guys out there. Story 42. Think about the past. My father lately has been saying it a lot, which is frustrating because he's not very understanding, and I'm in the middle of one of my worst mental health crises with no support. So I'm trying to tell him about my past, so he can better help me in the future. But every time I talk about the past, it's the same response: quit obsessing over the past. As if he didn't just ask me to explain it. It feels like his attention is elsewhere when I'm trying to communicate.